are the speeches. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into our prepared speech. We will just have one speaker today, who is Rich Brunner. But first we need to know what we're looking for with Rich. So Gregorio, if you'd let us know what you're going to be looking for in Rich's speech.
Rich is speaking out of the special occasions, the advanced manual. And he is, one of the things that he needs to cover is that as a speaker, he needs to present 6 to 8 minutes, speech praising someone. The occasion has to be selected by the speaker, which he already has, and this speech is to be inspirational, pointing out qualities of the individual and the meaning of the individual's life, as well as related to the meaning to our own lives.
Now, as Rich goes through his speech, or through any portion of the meeting, if you have anything that you'd like to give Rich feedback on, whether positive feedback or constructive criticism, those little sheets that are there in front of you give you an opportunity to do that. So for any portion of the speech, and then you can just write a name and pass it just like you did in class over to the person who you want to go to. Also on the bottom, you'll see that there are ballots. So as we go through speeches and table topics and evaluations, if you think one person did the best evaluation or speech or table topics today, you can write their name down, and Merrill's going to be our jokes and vote counter, and you can send your vote over to him, and that person will be recognized at the end of the meeting. Now, our next speaker is Rich Brunner. He and Janet Carlson celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary. He's here to tell us the trials they went through and what he learned about love and courtship, and to share the joy of finding the right person. Speaking on fresh bait, Rich Brunner.
Thank you for coming to this 20th wedding anniversary celebration. It's good to see you here, Grandpa and Dad, and Mom and Mrs. Carlson. Yes, glad that you all could be here today. I'm 37 years old, and I'm painting the shutters on Grandma Briner's house. It's an August day, it's very hot. All of a sudden, Grandma Briner comes walking around the corner. She's teetering on her cane. She's got white frizzy hair that stands up. She walks up to me, and she says the words that any single person, unmarried, has heard from one of their relatives. Richie, she grabs me by the arm. Richie, when are you gonna get married? I said, Gram, there's a lot of fish in the sea. She says, I'm not worried about the fish. I'm worried about the bait. The bait is gonna get stale. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, part of this speech is how I kept the bait fresh in order to hook the perfect woman, who is Janet Carlson. Janet Carlson painted this picture about 10 years ago. It's a self-portrait. She came and took a few art classes at the University of Great Falls. I didn't know that she had that kind of talent. That's one of the great things about Janet Carlson. She's got all kinds of abilities that I never knew she had. When I first met her, I was jogging along the south shore of Lake Michigan on the beach. It was the Dune Running Club meeting. I was a seasoned marathon runner, lean, mean, and a running machine. Janet Carlson was a tall, blonde, beautiful, leggy blonde who was jogging about 5 yards ahead of me. There were 15 of us out there jogging along the beach for the Dunes Running Club annual meeting. I was the first time I was ever there, and that's where I met Janet Carlson. The courtship. This was a courtship that occurred over a period of a year, like something that I had never experienced before. And I was a 39-year-old bachelor at the time, 39 years old. I believed in life, liberty, and the happiness of pursuit. Up until that particular day. Wine, women, and so long. You know, that was another, actually not true. I was always ready, when I was ready to get married, the women weren't. And the women, when they were ready to get married, I wasn't. That was the simple story of my bachelorhood. And this time I was creatively absorbed in a new job at Purdue North Central, teaching at the university, and in a new town. So I wasn't really interested that much in meeting a new lady. But if you saw her running along the beach, you would think, Rich, you're probably going to change your mind, and I did. Anyway, the key to my relationship with Janet, and the lesson that I learned, a lifelong lesson on love and courtship, is that friendship is the springboard of every single relationship. Now, when I got into meeting Janet, we would run 3-4 times a week. She had a boyfriend. I ran with her brother and her. We were running buddies. They were planning to run the Chicago Marathon in about 8 months, or 8 weeks, and the first marathon for Ray and Janet. Me, I had run 48 marathons at the time all over the country. I was the seasoned veteran. I ran slower with them. But I was willing to run slower with them because there were some advantages. Here we were being friends for 6, 7, 8 months because she had a boyfriend and I just was going out with people that I would meet, and then she would criticize them. She would say, Rich, why are you going out with her? You know, anyway, one day she came back. This is after about 6 or 7 months. She came back from spring break. She was a 37-year-old freshman in college. She was a building construction technology major and supervision. So she was in classes with about 20 other guys, and there were 1 or 2 ladies in the class. She always sat in the front row. She never missed a class in 4 years of college. She ended up getting straight A's, and she was the valedictorian of her class at Purdue. So she was extremely bright. She's very talented. But when she came back from this spring break with her brother, she was tanned, and she had on this sleeveless blouse, and she was smiling, and she said something terrible. She said, I broke up with my boyfriend. Would you all please say, "Aw"? Yeah, it was such a sad thing. About 3 weeks later, we had the Hyde Park Speech Contest at the University of Great Falls. And after the contest, we went to a restaurant. There were about 6 or 8 of us sitting in this big booth. One by one, as the evening wore on, people left. And finally, Janet and I were sitting there. She was in the booth across from me. And she was smiling, and we were enjoying each other's company. And she said to me, Rich, show me your hand. I pulled my hand up, and I have very small hands, and she put her hand up against mine. Her hand was bigger than mine. At that moment, when we touched, it was like an electric shock went through my whole veins, of everything. And I knew at that moment that this was the right woman, because she was a friend. She was my best friend in the world at that time. And the fact that she was a pretty attractive woman, but her best quality was, are you ready for this? She liked me. I remember asking my mom, what is Janet like about you? And I said, well, Janet thinks I'm handsome, intelligent, and sexy. And my mom said, well, what do you like best about Janet? I said, that she thinks I'm handsome, intelligent, and sexy. You know? But the point is that she loves animals. She and her brother would stop the car and go try to pick up a stray dog or a stray animal and track it down and track down the owner. When she was back in Indiana, she was the president of the Humane Society, and because of her leadership, they went and they found this dog fighting community, and they got them jailed because of it. So she's a very committed to the community, loves animals. She and her sister had a gourmet restaurant in Michigan City, Indiana, and people would come out from Chicago just to visit that restaurant. They were very successful. She owns walls full of cookbooks, and it's pretty good that she does that. But that is the lesson that I learned mostly from my relationship with Janet. And I would leave you with this. If anybody is single and they're looking to find somebody to really settle down with, friendship is the springboard for every other love. And if you got the friendship with that person, man, the rest is easy. So thank you for showing up, for letting me show you the love of my life, Janet Carlson.
It's nice when you have a speech that really anyone can relate to, because whether you have the love of your life, found out someone wasn't the love of your life, or you're still looking, you can still kind of connect with that speech, which is wonderful. That Rich prepared that for us. Now what's going to happen next is something that we didn't really prepare for, and that's our table topic session. So I'm going to invite